Hi, welcome back to another episode of BIPOC Manager Podcast, where we dive deep into the real issues faced by professionals of color in North America. I'm your host, Khalil Golibala, and today we're tackling something that affects so many of us in the BIPOC community, which is whether to use your birth name or adopt a more westernized name on your resume. Now, think of your resume as a key that opens the door. Sometimes the key looks a little bit different to the different gatekeepers are used to seeing. So, what happens when your name, something that's so deeply personal and represents your cultural identity, becomes the thing that keeps the door locked? Now, this is something that many of us wrestle with. One where you, on one hand, you want to be proud of your cultural identity and your heritage. But on the other hand, there's this practical consideration where we know based on studies that having a non-westernized sounding name can lead to fewer jobs opportunities. In a famous study conducted in 2004 by Bertrand and Mullainathan, published in the American Economic Review, researchers sent about 5,000 resumes to employers across the US. The difference was half of these resumes had a white sounding name like Emily and Greg, while the other half had African American names like Lakisha and Jamal. The results, those with white sounding names on the resume got 50% more callbacks. And what this shows is that names can trigger unconscious biases from employers, whether we like it or not. Now, for a lot of us, our names carry our family history, our culture, and our pride. But it's frustrating when the part of our identity becomes a barrier to getting an interview. So the big question is, should you change your name just to get a foot in the door? And what happens to your sense of self if you do that? And the way I think about this is that if you do decide to adopt a westernized name for your resume, one option is to include both names. For example, you could list Shoria Sam Bhatia or Zoe Zoya Ali on your resume or LinkedIn profile. And what that does, it gives you the flexibility to present your resume in a way that might pass through the bias filters while still retaining your identity for when you actually meet people. Now, if you're uncomfortable changing a name, don't change it. But you should be aware of the potential challenges and think about other ways to stand on your application, like focusing heavily on networking or making sure you've got a standout CV or LinkedIn profile that speaks to your skills and not just your name. So, if you're trying to sum it up, what you should do. So key takeaways are decide on what feels right for you. If you're using a westernized name feels like a compromise you're comfortable making to get the job, that's your choice. If you prefer to stick with your birth name, consider strategies like including both names or boosting your visibility to networking. And lastly, you might also want to look at the company's diversity policy before you apply. Some companies have anti-bias screening processes in place to reduce this type of problem. At the end of the day, this decision is deeply personal. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. But you need to balance both your cultural pride and your career goals. Whether you choose to stick with your birth name or use a westernized name for professional purposes, remember that truly what matters is what you bring to the table. Now, me personally, my name is Khalil Golivala. I've tried being Carl. It just didn't feel right. So, which is why I'm Khalil Golivala. But I know many people who built amazing careers and they're comfortable with their more westernized names. So pick something that is comfortable, pick something that's authentic, and pick a name that if someone calls out to you, you remember, oh yeah, they're talking to me. So thank you for joining today's episode of the BIPOC Manager podcast. I hope it giving you some clarity. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more real talk on navigating the workplace as a minority professional. See you next time.